live stream. My name is Angela Holden. Okay, there we go. Just checking to make sure we're live. Good morning. Monique Robinson is here. Monique is a mod. We love her. Welcome. My name is Angela. And it is raining cats and dogs right now in St. Paul, Minnesota. And it's kind of slowing me down a little bit this morning. So, in fact, Heidi, my Sheltie, Heidi and I, we were very rudely woken up this morning by a gigantic crack of thunder. It was very dramatic and it instantly woke us up. So here we are. Go Elmo Go is here. Good morning. Welcome. So happy to have you. And I don't know. I feel like we have a busy weekend ahead of us. Hey, if you're new here, welcome. Our little channel has had a bit of a growth spurt over the last month. Big for us, big for me. About 200 or so new subscribers in the last 30 days. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Helps us out with the algorithm, helps us push out more content to more people who are interested in this type of thing. So with that being said, let's chat about what we are going to work on today, which is this fun little category filter called LaBelle. And for a little bit of context, I know people who have been here before kind of already know this, but for a little bit of context, I have this collection of mockups left over from my freelancing days. And they're several years old. They're 6, 7, 8 years old. This one is about 8 years old. It's from 2017. And what I'm finding, so I'm going back through my collection of mockups and I'm grabbing things to build on stream. And this is just a way for me to practice. And so for a year now, I've just been going live on the weekends for a couple to maybe 3 hours, building out these mockups, practicing my own front-end skills. In the last couple of months, I've decided that I'm only going to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So no Sass, no compilers, no Node, no nothing. And that has just worked wonders for my own skills as a front-end developer. I've been doing this for 12 years. And every day, every weekend that I sit down and do this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is another way to refine this process. This is another way to do this that makes it better, that makes it easier for me, that makes it easier for a future developer. So that's what we're doing. This particular mock-up is one of several, maybe a dozen or so came in this pack. It's a category filter page, and I used to build pages very similar to this all the time at my old job. So what we're doing here basically is I have a JSON file of products. Last week, we built out all of the HTML and we started writing some JavaScript to pull in all of our products. And that's what we have now. And the filter is not currently working. We haven't wired any of that up yet. And we're not going to do it this weekend either. We're not quite there. So we have like our basic grid done, and then everything else in the footer is not styled yet, but we have all of our markup in place. What I would really like to get done this weekend is making sure our header is mobile. So one thing that this particular set of mockups did not come with is mobile views for things like the header. And so in 2017, it's not that mobile wasn't important, it definitely was, but a lot of these mockups just didn't include that. And I don't even really know if they do now. So here's what I did. This week I just very casually was out sort of like perusing e-commerce websites. So here's Coach. I mean, do we see some similarities here? I do. And then I also looked at Kate Spade. Now, Coach and Kate Spade are actually owned by the same parent company. So their headers are actually pretty much identical. I also looked at another website called Castle Arts. Also a very similar header. Whoops. They have what we used to call, I don't know if this is what it's still called, but we used to call this a mega menu. I think it's still called a mega menu. I would say that the Castle Arts menu might be most similar, but it gave me a lot of I guess inspiration. You just click outside. Yeah. I think Castle Arts is doing a ton of fancy stuff that I'm not a fan of, but I'm not criticizing it. What else did I look at? I think I looked at Michael Kors. Yeah, I think Michael Kors also has a similar vibe in terms of their header. I liked the Michael Kors example because on Kate Spade, so first of all, on Kate Spade and Coach, when you click into the search, it expands it. So it's not like a separate drawer, which I usually do like a drawer or a slide out drawer. And Coach is exactly the same. When I saw Coach and Kate Spade and I pulled those up and I didn't know they were owned by the same parent company. And I have a couple of Coach bags from the outlet mall. I don't have anything from Kate Spade. But those are two brands I like. Although, okay, sidetrack. This video is about people in college going to college, back to school, in head-to-toe Coach with Coach bags. Am I missing something here? Now, I did not have a traditional 4-year college experience. My entire adult life, I worked a full-time job and went to school part-time. So I'm having trouble relating to anybody who can go to not only afford to have a traditional 4-year experience, but can do it in head-to-toe Coach. I don't know. So yes, I like my Coach bag, like the two that I have, but I'm not relating to that at all. So me pulling up these websites, I'm not endorsing that lifestyle because I don't understand it. Okay, Castle Arts, great art supplies. Michael Kors, what was my original point? Oh, just that I like the experience and it gave me a lot of guidance. I know I'm a little bit all over the place here. What I like is that we do not open a separate drawer. It just sort of pops open search, although it does technically open up as like part of a mega menu, doesn't it? Does Coach do that too? Yeah, it does. So if we put in, so if I put in like a wallet, so it does give suggestions, but it doesn't show products. I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm not suggesting that we build out part of a drawer. I just like the functionality where you click and it opens up the search input in the menu and we don't open a drawer. That I'm just saying that could make our life a lot easier. So, okay, thank you, Monique. No, that's not realistic. Maybe for some people it is because I grew up on a farm in western Minnesota. Okay. So I come from a very blue collar, my mom was a nurse, my dad was a mechanic type of background. So I just didn't, I find this to be not relatable, but I know that this is a wealthy country and there are wealthy people. I know that, but it's not relatable to me at all. Yes, I also do love the menus though. So if you find yourself in this position where you are working on a type of website, because it's actually very common that you would be given mock-ups to build something, and in my experience, not be given the mobile view of how something should look. Again, that's just my experience. Unless the designer that you're working with has something very specific, they want something implemented in a very specific way, a lot of times it's going to be left up to you and your best judgment. So if you get handed designs and you're like, oh, there's like a lot going on here. I'm actually not sure how this should look on mobile, what should go in the drawer and what should remain in the header on mobile. Think of other websites. So if you work at an agency where you build you build websites for law firms, go out and look at some other law firm websites and see how they're doing it. If you are doing an e-commerce site and you're like, I'm not sure how this should look, I don't know what to do, just go out and start looking at other websites and be really observant about how other people are doing it. So Gigi Casa is here. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Brainy Game Mind. Hello, welcome. We are so happy to have you. So let's see. I think I like the Coach and the Kate Spade versions the best, but Castle Arts also has some really good examples. So let's just see here what's going on. I'm going to refresh this again. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Hang on. Let's go back. I'm honestly not sure that this is as good as I remember it. As good, although video doesn't work on mobile, does it? Yeah, video doesn't work on mobile. So I might not have actually checked this as thoroughly as I thought that I had. So this would be an image on mobile because video doesn't really play on mobile. But I also kind of don't think, like, here's the menu button up here in the corner and it sort of overlaps with the search icon. This might not be a fair comparison. I personally, Kate Spade one is a lot better. Although I would not say that this is accessible, although on mobile. You know what? Okay, let's just look. To be fair, we do need to look at this on iOS. I mean, really? So let's do that. We're gonna peruse a couple different e-commerce sites so we can make some decisions about how we want this header to look on mobile, because there's just so much happening in this mobile menu. So let's see. Give me one moment here. Hold, please. Coach.com. Oh, interesting. The video is working on mobile. The video is working on mobile. Clearly, I don't have a ton of experience working with video anyways, so okay. What I kind of don't like, so what's happening up here in the upper right hand corner, if I click on that, the menu does open and the search, oh, maybe what they're saying there is like, hey, this is the menu and the search. You're getting both, right? And then on scroll, it does all disappear. Okay, that's fair. Let's look at Castle Arts. Okay. So here's I like Castle Arts better. I think this is a better experience. They do some things that I probably won't do that they're probably using, like, I've never used Material UI, but if I was guessing, I would say that this is some like framework that they're using with these transitions that we're not going to use. But you see here down at the bottom where they have choosing a language, choosing a currency, the login, and the social media. So those things are clearly fixed to the bottom. So if we open some of the menus, which they have big menus here to scroll. Those things are clearly fixed to the bottom. So I think I like this example better. Let's just compare this to, there we go. Look at how prepared I am. Wow, this was a good idea when I set this up. So this is a pretty good example here of sort of comparing. And I think that this is, so our logo is in the middle. Theirs is, I'm just going to close a couple of these. Theirs is on the left, but on mobile, it slides to the middle. They have search and cart. So on desktop, they have search, login, and cart on the right, but on mobile, they just have search and cart. And then the menu, to open the menu, is over on the far left, but it opens on the entire screen and it slides up from the bottom. So on our navigation, and then also, I think let's not bury the lead here on what's happening up at the top. This thick black bar, there's a lot happening up there, right? That's where the language, the currency is. They clearly have messages sort of sliding, plus they have the customer reviews at the top and social media on the far right. So I was like, ooh, do I keep that? Do I hide that? What do I do? To me, I just instantly felt like it was taking up way too much real estate. But then I'm looking at Castle Arts. They left it fully intact and it's not taking up too much real estate at all. It looks fine. It looks great. I don't think I'm going to build a slider up at the top, and we only have 3 pieces of information. So I'm gonna structure it to look like a slider. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to implement the JavaScript for a slider. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna prioritize that last because my first priority is making sure that we have a filter that functions. But I'm going to structure it so it looks like a slider. And then if somebody wants to fork this repository and go ahead, where am I? Here we go. And then if somebody wants to fork this repository and build their own slider, they definitely can, because we've got lots of examples of sliders in other projects, right? So I think this is the best example of how to structure this. So I'm going to take a screenshot. And we should do a screenshot of mobile also. And then this is going to be like our little mock-up. This is going to be our little mock-up, and we'll see how this goes, because right now we have, I'm going to make this a little bigger. So right now we have US dollars and language, which is hidden right now. That's a CSS mistake that I made last week. Our logo, and then we have the account and the cart on the right. And then our menu items. So these are like 3 sections. This top black bar is a section. Then we have this middle section with the logo and the options. And then we have the navigation itself. So I think what we're going to end up doing is leaving this black bar intact on the top, doing our navigation normal in the drawer, doing fixed positioning with this middle section on the bottom of the drawer, which means the second and third section need to be in their own container in order to be an actual drawer. And then we have to figure out a way to get the logo back in on mobile, which may mean that we just have, although, where's the search? Do I have a separate search? We have my account. Did I accidentally hide the search? I know I accidentally hid some stuff last week. So it's everything that's in here. So we've got user meta, pick a currency, pick a language, then we've got the logo, then we've got this, which is, yeah, I accidentally hid the search button. That's my mistake. So we've got my account, there's a search the site, and then there's a cart. And then there's the button to open the menu. So what do we want to hide? Log in. Maybe we don't need to hide anything because we don't really have social media icons up here. Maybe we just hide the words. And then my account turns into like a little person icon. So there's cart as an icon. Although US, maybe we only hide pick a currency and pick a language inside the menu. Those two things can be fixed. And then everything else, that's an idea. That's an idea. Okay, well, I think we have a really good example here of how to structure this. So listen, this is really, really good practice. If you're trying to level up your front end skills, these are the types of projects that you should be working on. These are the things that you should be practicing to get good at this. So I really want people to kind of, I heard this saying this week that information does not equal implementation. And what that saying is basically referring to is people who get stuck in tutorial hell. So tutorials are great because they introduce you to ideas and syntax and structure, but they don't actually apply any of those things to real world situations. And what I'm doing right now is 100% a real world situation. Nobody hired me to do it. This is not something I'm doing for my job or for a client. I'm literally just practicing. But these are absolutely things and situations that I've been in before. And imagine how much more prepared you will be for this at your job or for a client or an agency or a contract job or your boss if you have practiced this on your own. So don't be afraid to go out and look and see what other sites are doing, how other sites are approaching things. This is my advice to you. And try to get out of tutorial hell. That's also my advice to you because tutorials are great. I do tutorials all the time when I need to learn something new. But the real learning comes when you take the information that you get from the tutorial and you apply it to a real world situation. So, Terry Murray is here. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to the channel. We're happy to have you. And, okay. One moment. Hold, please. Okay, so I think that in order to be like really realistic about this, I think this is gonna probably end up taking up the better part of our weekend, but I kind of think it's worth it because it's an important part of the page. I chose this page because I was thinking more about the filter, but clearly I chose something that had a really complex header too. So let's just practice and get better at it. So, here we go. And also just a reminder, if you're new here, we don't really use any frameworks or libraries. We practice HTML, vanilla CSS, vanilla JavaScript, not because we're in denial about any of those things, but because it's just a way to get good at the basics and yeah, practice. So, and you are welcome, Terry. You are very welcome. Okay. So first of all, let's fix the thing that I accidentally hid last week, which was button plus user drop display none. Why did I do that? Because it also, why did it also hide the button? Oh, because I did it as a sibling. No, wait a second. Not sure. I don't know why I did that. Because I didn't put drop downs. Oh, I did it here. That's why. I did it right here. I don't know why it's also hiding this button. It should only be... So let's... Showing. Let's target this a little bit better. That is on line 214. Yes, I recognize your name. Yep. So I did last week create a video called Accessible Responsive Nav Bars. I considered when I was making that video putting in information about drop downs or submenus, and it was just instantly getting way too complex, so I just left it to top level navigation. I may go ahead and I may create another video with accessible submenus at a later date. I don't have plans to do that, but I will probably eventually do that. So yes, thank you for your email. Thank you for your email. Okay, that was line 214. So I'm going to get a little more targeted with this. We're going to do button ARIA label search the site. Oh, button plus user drop. That's why. I put user drop as a class on that button. And then I put the class user drop on this unordered list. Okay, got it. So I'm going to change, well, let's see how many different places we have user drop. Button, 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 unordered list. Okay, so on the unordered list, we need to change this class name. User drop list. And then we can just go ahead and do this, and I think that will fix it. Yeah, there we go. And spoken English Gurukul. Ma'am, do you think that just HTML, CSS, JavaScript is enough to get a job at this competitive time? Probably not. I mean, I don't know for sure, but probably not. I think that most front end jobs will want you to probably know React, but I think for some junior developer jobs, the minimum requirement is that you have experience in at least one framework. So React, Angular, Vue, probably one of those three. And I think that you also need to have some DevOps experience. So I think that you need to have a pretty decent understanding of Git and some sort of deployment. Yeah, that's my recommendations. So yeah, it is very competitive right now. It's a much, much different world we live in to get a front end developer job than it was when I was starting out 12 years ago. It's definitely very competitive. I will agree with you. My personal opinion is that you don't want to go into a front end development job being all about a particular framework and not understanding some basic skills. Like the example that I give a lot on this channel is junior developers. I personally have met junior developers that could build beautiful React apps, but they didn't understand basic things like the difference between a div and a span, or the difference between display block and display inline. I think that's a problem, and that's the whole point of this channel. So my advice to you is that, yeah, you're probably going to need to know a framework, and that you should also spend some time making sure you understand basics, like the core stuff. Guitar Jams is here. Good to see you again. Did you get my email? Oh, I don't know. When did you send it? I don't think so. I checked my email this morning. Tell me when you sent it. I don't think I got it. I don't think so. If you don't want to tell me like the name on the email in chat, I understand. It might be better if you like DM me on Instagram. I can go ahead and check there after the stream. I'm caught up on email and I don't think I got it unless it's in my, would it be in my spam folder? Let me just check and see if it's in spam. No, I don't have anything in spam. So I guess the answer is no, I didn't get your email. Sorry about that. Send it again and I will keep an eye out for it. Or if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, we can definitely chat there as well. So, okay, back to the build. So the button issue is resolved. So let's see what we need to do here. So first of all, let's tackle the very top. Which is our meta header. So here's our meta header. And then we've got our wrap and we've got these items. So I'm going to say on mobile, so we'll say at media. Max width, I'll say 960. I'm going to say meta item display none. And I'm going to say meta item first of type. Display block. I think first of type is going to be a specific enough state. Yeah, that works. Perfect. So now let's just style that like it's a slider. It's a little faux slider. It's not going to be a real slider. So, and then we can put in some arrows also. And then if we have time at the end, we'll go back and build a slider. So, and we did grid. So we're going to want to say meta header wrap grid template columns 1 FR, right? Do I have to say with the 100%? With 100%. Gap 0. Oh, I think I got this wrong. Oh, display, yeah, display block with the 100%. Let's see here, where's our media? Max width 960. Oh, it's a meta header. Honestly, it's the best mistake to make. There you go. But we still need this to be one column. And then, oh, I changed this from display flex. That's why. So we'll go back to display flex. There we go. Perfect. And then I think we just want to center these things. So on the wrap, we'll do justify content center. There we go. And then, yeah, perfect. Why doesn't it look centered though? Let's do maybe not center, maybe space evenly. Space between, space around. Space evenly. We could do space evenly. Center looks, I think center's better, but it still looks off a little bit, doesn't it? Oh, it's fine. Okay, so we'll add some arrows. So we're going to add some arrows. I'm going to put them right here. So we'll do div slider is harder to make than I thought it would be. Yeah, they can be a little bit complex. We did it in the last 2 projects and we leaned heavily on ChatGPT. For that I am grateful. So let's see here. So we'll just say slider controls. And let's see what we have for arrows. Let's go grab from Ionicons. We'll do forward. And we'll do back. And these don't have a fill, so I do generally take out current color for stroke, and then I can control it with CSS. So if you're using SVGs, you just want to make sure that there isn't an inline style, or you may have trouble styling it with CSS. That is my experience. And then we'll do back. And I think back needs to come first. And well, technically these would be buttons, wouldn't they? So we'll do button. I'm going to say slider. The first one is going to be previous. And then I'll do another slider button. We'll do aria hidden true. Aria hidden true. Okay, so we should see these now. In theory, they're here. We just can't see them. So slider controls slider button. So I'm going to go right here. Slider button SVG stroke white. There we go. They're teeny tiny. They're teeny tiny, but there they are. So the parent container is this meta header. So on desktop, we want the slider controls, because it's not a slider on desktop. So we're going to say slider controls display none. And then we're going to do a media query, and we'll do a little refactoring. The media queries are, I try to keep things tidy. Sometimes it's just a little untidy. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We can tidy it up later. It's called technical debt. It's totally normal. We'll do slider controls display block. I think it's actually going to end up being display flex though. Our parent container is the meta header, so we need to make sure that that is position relative, because we're going to use absolute positioning. Yes, we do a little media querying. It's part of the job. Learn to love the media queries. In fact, let me just walk the walk right now. Try to do what I try to do, or what I've gotten into the habit of doing, is like one media query per section, right? So So here's our slider controls, display block on mobile. Our meta header is, of course I spelled it wrong, relative. And then I'm going to make this position absolute. I'm actually going to make this display flex. Flex, flow, row, no wrap. Let's make sure that we've got some inset values here. Well, top, I guess we could just do inset. That was actually probably a better way to do it. Inset, which is top, bottom, left, right, so it's shorthand. And then we'll say width 100%, height 100%, display flex, flex flow, justify content, space between, get those hugging right up against the left and the right, and then align items center. Yeah, beautiful. And then we also need to make sure that our z-index is okay and that we actually can click those buttons. So let's make sure, and we'll make those SVGs a little bigger too. They're pretty small right now. So let's make sure that this has a z-index of 0. And watch me get myself into trouble with z-index, but just seems to come with the territory, or at least it does for me. And I'm just going to say z-index 1. And then let's make these a little bigger. So our SVGs, we wrote base styles to make sure that our SVGs are always display block. And of course I put a default value of black because so many of our icons need to have a black stroke, but for this one we need it to be white, totally fine. And then I'm going to change the width to 3 rems with a height of 3 rems, which is 48 by 48 pixels, which is the accessibility tap target. Beautiful. We love it. We love it. So we're going to want to make sure that we're really, and so the text is wrapping the way it should. We might want to get rid of this little arrow SVG for mobile. Oh yeah, it's not easy to test right now because nothing else is responsive. So when we get down to let's do another media query at 600 that hides this green icon. Because this tab target is important. Well, right now it's got, so there's our SVG is 48 by 48. The button is 60 by 50. So we can take off some of the padding and make sure that the button and the SVG are the same size. That's going to help. So this meta item SVG, we're going to hide that at 600. Meta item SVG. We're just going to say display none. It's decorative. Wait a second, 600. There we go. So that is, yeah, so that's nice and centered. So I don't see a gap there, but let's just take out that gap value. Oh, I guess we do need that gap value there, don't we? It doesn't matter. We don't. It's 100%, so the gap doesn't matter, I guess. I mean, that doesn't hold up very well, does it? Probably we need to get rid of some of this padding. That will help. So meta header, we have a rem of padding. I'm going to say we'll still keep our padding on the top and bottom, but we'll get rid of it on the left and right. And then we're going to do the same thing on our wrap, which is right here. I think just padding 0. There we go. Okay, now let's get rid of the padding on the slider button, just the slider button, which I think we can just do no matter what. There we go. So now the button and the SVG are the same size, 48 by 48. Does that help? I mean, a little bit. I mean, we're good to like 485. That's not enough. I don't think that's enough. You know what we might want to do is we might want to do on this text. So the item wrap, what if we just did item wrap white space? I don't really want to do that though, because that could be important information for mobile, right? How's everybody else? Could you please check it? Could I please check what? I'm not sure what you are asking me to check. Let me know. Let me know what you're looking for, and I will let you know if I can check it. Yeah, they're wrapping. So their reviews up at the top there are just no wrap. But their little message here does wrap. So there's 450, 389, 360. $507. I didn't. think I was a little too aggressive up there on this wrap. We do still need some padding, don't we? Right there. Yeah, I think we do need these. Well, let's come back to this. Let's come back to this. I don't think we should spend, you know, let's assume rightly that we're going to come back and QA top to bottom more than once. And I have no intention of building a slider for this right now. So let's move on. I think that we have a good start. I think we have a good start. And we got lots more to do here. So, okay. So at 960, which is, there's 957. So at 9, there's 950. So at 950, we are going to hide the main nav. We're going to hide US dollars, language, and my account. We're going to hide those three things inside the drawer. We're going to show the button, the open button, and we're going to show the search icon, we're going to show the cart icon. So how do we have ours structured? So this is the user meta wrap. Let me make this a little bigger. So here's the main nav. Here's the user meta wrap. Here's the wrap. So we're going to hide this. We might have to duplicate some of these things in order to get them in there. So, some things are going to have to, we could just write JavaScript and take those things and append them inside there. I don't love doing that. I don't love doing that. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I just personally don't love doing that. I always want to find kind of like a pure HTML way of doing things. So this would be inside the drawer. This would be outside the drawer. And part of this would be inside the drawer. And then our button to open the menu is also inside this container. What are your thoughts on React and Next? I mean, I don't really have any thoughts on React or Next. I think at this point, React is like the universe is built on React. It must be, because everybody uses it and everybody loves it, I guess. I've never used React or Next. I spent the last 7 years on Vue, and I've built a couple of Angular apps. I actually really like Angular. I think could be a bit much sometimes, but when I look at all of my the static builds that I've done, if I was going to take any of those and build those out, I would either use Angular, or I am also very, very fond of just using a little bit of PHP for templating, because I'm not really pulling in a lot of data. I'm not leveraging like third-party APIs. So I'm very fond of using PHP because it's so easy to use on like just a very generic LAMP stack, right? Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. I understand why React is popular. I understand why frameworks exist. I think obviously you need to know them. You at least need to know one in order to get a job, right? And I'm not saying that they're not important. I'm just saying that if you understand some core foundational skills, it's gonna save your ass. That's what I'm saying. Because when you're new in an agency or an organization, you're gonna get all of the crap work. You're gonna get all of the legacy code, the spaghetti CSS. You're not gonna get shiny new React apps. And I just think that it's gonna help you to understand basics, and that HTML and CSS and JavaScript are just as important as being really good at building in a framework. So, yeah, I mean, I liked Vue, and that was a set of files that I inherited at my last job. So I wasn't like, that wasn't a choice that I made. It was just like, here's all how we build all of our stuff, all of our UIs. And I just got to know it and like it. And yeah, so oh, don't know why my comments are not being displayed for you. If you're trying to put in code or URLs, those comments are blocked. So yeah, if you're trying to put in URLs, then yeah, I won't be able to see those, unfortunately. So I feel like some of these frameworks abstract too much when there are simpler tools. Yeah, I mean, as much as I like Vue, so at my last job, they did every UI component, every slider, everything was done in Vue. So I had no choice but to learn it and get good at it. And what I came and I was very, it was early in my front end development career, and it was early in my, I guess, JavaScript part of my career. And I was like, do you really need to do all of this in Vue? And I did come to learn that I came to the conclusion that no, you don't need to do every single UI inside of the framework. You should really save the framework for the where you're doing like heavy filtering, heavy heavy interactivity like this, or you're pulling in like third-party apps. That can make it a lot easier, right? That can make it a lot easier to do those types of things. But for your sliders and your basic DOM manipulation and stuff like that, I think you are much better off just learning and understanding vanilla JavaScript. And I personally think that PHP is kind of magical. You don't have to be a full stack developer to just know a little bit of PHP. It'll help you with your if you're like me and you're a front-end developer who struggles with the object-oriented programming side of development, PHP can help you kind of wrap your head around that a little bit. And it's kind of magical when you think about what it takes to run a static website. Most servers can run PHP no problem. You can't use live server necessarily for PHP, but you could just get like MAMP or WAMP and use the free version, do a little templating, do an include here or there, build a loop if you need to. It's so easy. It's so easy. I highly recommend it. And it will help you with if you have trouble wrapping your head around like the object-oriented programming side of things like I do. So clearly I'm very much focused on the UI side. So there's that. So I hope that explanation makes sense. Okay. Angela, make a decision. Make a decision. Yeah, and Monique has a good comment here too. Comment the code. I have seen legacy code without comments, and it was a nightmare to update. understanding those fundamentals will benefit in the long run. Yeah, and this is another reason why I don't do a lot of shorthand. I have had people, and if you are watching and you're somebody who asked a question about why I did or didn't do something, I'm not criticizing you at all. I love the questions, but sometimes people are like, maybe you should try using shorthand or you should try using this. And I do what works for me. I do what works for me. I do what helps me, what makes sense to me, and what helps me remember what I did. And I just do what makes sense to me. And shorthand, I struggle to make shorthand work for me. So I also do like to leave comments and put comments into my code to make sure that I can go back and look at something or put it in for a future developer. So I agree, commenting is important. And there are kind of a segment of developers out there who are anti-comment, and I don't quite understand that. So I think it's like a weird flex that you don't put in comments and you like pride yourself on going and looking at code and understanding it without any comments. I don't know. Yeah, frameworks come and go. Frameworks come and go. The internet is still HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I don't think that's changing. To be sure they are useful, but still know the fundamentals. Yeah, so that's all this is we're just practicing. We're not saying that any framework is bad. We're just practicing. That's all. Okay, Angela, you have to make a decision. So, I just don't know how I'm gonna, I don't know how I'm gonna get these things into this drawer. So this is what I think that I have to do is I think that I have to have another div that just has the site name the search and the cart and the menu button. That's what I think I have to do. So, and that's not my favorite technique, but clearly I don't see another way to do this. And I do want to be in line with like a modern e-commerce mobile experience. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put in, so we're done with this. So here's this button and this button. This is our site name. And then this is my account, search the site, cart, and then here's our mobile button. So we're going to have a third user meta that is for mobile only. User meta, and I'm just going to say, we're going to say user meta, user meta mobile. I want you to check if my portfolio is fully responsive and looks good on different screen sizes, but when I add the URL, the comment isn't being displayed for you. So that's because URLs are blocked from the chat. So if you would like to send me an email, you are welcome to do so. Yeah, go ahead and send me an email and I will chat with you offline. Okay, so user meta, mobile. The things that are going to be duplicated are going to be pick a currency and pick a language. Right there. No, wait a second, Angela. Okay. Because it needs to be inside but it also needs to come before. So I'm going to put it as a sibling right here. And I'm just going to call it user meta mobile. It needs to be a sibling because we need to make sure that this button, and this doesn't need to be here on desktop, it can just be here. And then we need to make sure that we have pick a currency, pick a language. Yeah, I think this button is just going to come immediately before. So this is the mobile button open. This is desktop and mobile navigation. Please teach backend as well with PHP as much as you know so that I can get increment, please, please. Sorry, probably not. I really just do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript here. I don't really do anything backend on this channel. So I appreciate that you like learning from me. I definitely take that as a compliment. But this channel is just front end. So there are lots of great YouTubers out there teaching backend and teaching PHP. So I would suggest that you just go look around and find the YouTubers that work for you, right? Different people do different things. Okay, so here's our mobile button. Comes before the nav and is a sibling element. Speaking of comments. And then this is mobile only, hidden on desktop. And then we might need another container. What did we say last week? We called this container hell. Okay, and then these are all desktop. Start the white background part of the header. This is desktop only. Oh, actually, take this out. We're still inside the wrap. That's okay. This is desktop only. This is mobile only, hidden on desktop. This is the mobile button open. And this is the navigation. Oh, this is a good question. What is the step-by-step approach to reach the stage of learning vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and making websites like you have reached? Practice. It's practice. It's exactly what I'm doing every single weekend. It's practice. I've just done it so many times. Yeah, it's just practice. So yeah, you can avoid div soup, but not container hell. Agreed. It's just how it goes. It's totally fine. It's normal. So it's complex, but that's okay. Okay, so here's our wrap. This is desktop only. This is mobile only. Here's our button. And then here is our nav. And then I think we need to have, unfortunately, another container, but it's okay. It's okay. Let's call this the because I need a container in order to get it all off canvas for mobile. Although this is desktop only, so this will be hidden on mobile. Oh, and we also need our site name. We better just start styling, honestly. We just need to start styling. User, meta, mobile. Yeah, let's just start styling and see how it goes. Although this is mobile only, I kind of wanted these. Well, actually, we can just hide these inside the nav. Yeah, we can just hide these inside the nav for mobile. Because technically they're part of the nav. Yeah, let's do that. Div mobile buttons. Yeah, that makes sense. So these don't need to be here. Okay, that actually makes it a lot easier. So all of this is desktop only. So my account, search the site, cart. Maybe all we need to do is hide this. I think all we need to do is hide this. Yeah, those are like literally the only two things. Okay, we just need to hide that, and then we can have this on the far left. And I think my account, we can also duplicate this on mobile. Pick a currency, pick a language. My account. So this is this is mobile only. Mobile only. Yeah, we don't need this. So let's change this comment. So this is hide for mobile. And then this is hide my account for mobile. And we still have cart and search the site, which are icons. And then we move my account, pick a currency, pick a language to mobile, but we're not doing any DOM manipulation. We're just hiding it on desktop and showing it on mobile. Okay, this works. This works. So, oh, look at, I love the conversation. Also, as a beginner, everyone is eager to learn the framework and UI modules, libraries of code to come to the stage of creating a full website. What is your advice to avoid that, or should one evolve? I think that you should learn whatever you want to learn, especially if you have an idea of what it is that you want to do as a front-end developer, because there are first of all, there are too many frameworks and libraries to learn everything. You're just not going to be able to learn everything. It's too much, and I don't even think that you should try. I think that you should do what I'm doing, which is go out and grab mockups and build them in whatever framework you've chosen to learn. But I do want you to evolve to learn the frameworks and move on from HTML, CSS, JavaScript, because it feels like it is never enough to learn more and more of it. I mean, I totally agree, and I am in the same boat as you are. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've never used React, and the simple truth is I've never needed to know React. I never had a job where we used React. I've never had a client ask me to use React, so I didn't learn React. I learned Vue because my last job used Vue. I learned Angular because I was hired for a contract job to work on an Angular app. And then I happened to be in school and we happened to be building with Angular. Like the teacher I had liked Angular. So that's what we built this project out of. So it's really, I chose to learn things as I was hired or put in situations where I needed to do things. And then for practice, I just decided that I was going to go back to the basics, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because I just believe that learning core foundational skills is building a good base. It's like building a good foundation, right? If you want to get good at something, you have to practice. So you have to go grab mockups. You have to think of actual user interfaces that you want to build, and you have to go practice. So go grab a mockup, build it once with vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then go build it again in whatever framework you're learning. It's really that easy. And by easy, I mean it's not complicated, that you just need to sit down and carve out time to practice. That's what I want you to do. So if you're trying to figure out how to learn something or what to learn, I can see where it's very easy to get analysis paralysis. I totally understand that. But at the end of the day, you just need to pick something and go do it. And that's why I'm trying to demonstrate on this channel, is that you can carve out time, a couple hours a week, and you can just dedicate time to sit down and practice and build something. So, yep, this is exactly right. With small projects, get to know your tools well, understand why the framework is used and what alternatives are available, why or why not. Sometimes it's preference. Sometimes it's just preference. Some developers like something better than they like the other thing, so they dive into the thing that they like. There's no right or wrong answer here. So, I find CSS units hard. Can you explain them to me or give me some tips for learning them? So which units? I tend to stick with rems, which is relative ems rather than ems. So my best advice, if you are trying to get good with CSS units, MDN, CSS, rem. So let's start with CSS values and units. So I tend to go to MDN when I'm looking for help with any kind of documentation. I also think that ChatGPT can be an excellent resource. So I would maybe on ChatGPT do something like, I would do exactly what you just said here. So can you explain, I'm just actually going to type in literally what you just put in the chat. Let's see here. I find CSS units hard to understand. Can you please explain them to me? These are excellent prompts for ChatGPT. So I would encourage you to learn to use AI, because more and more employers are going to start wanting developers who know how to leverage AI, because it makes life easier. I don't think that AI is going to replace anybody, but I think if you are a developer who sits in the corner and is not like actively being a good problem solver, that's the type of developer who's going to get replaced. But developers who are embracing new technology and new tools and streamlining their process and leveling up, lean into ChatGPT, learn into AI tools in order to learn and understand how to do things. So the question that you just asked, I think, is a great prompt for ChatGPT. And I also recommend the MDN web docs are an excellent resource if you need to learn these things. So, and that's a great question. I think that CSS units can also be very confusing. So I think that you're asking great questions, and these are the two sources that I would use to go and really learn more about those things. So Rahil is saying, I was asking from the standpoint that people are so rushy in the current age to have developed products using vibe coding and still want to learn all basics quickly, which is hard. Oh yeah, for sure. Vibe coding to me, not my thing. Not my thing. I think it's obvious why vibe coding is not going to last, because I feel like we're skipping so many steps when it comes to like strategy and QA and testing. So vibe coding is a hard pass for me. That's just my opinion. And yeah, employers and organizations, they want things quickly, they want things done well. And it's like the Venn diagram of, do you want it done right? Do you want it done fast? Or do you want it done cheap? And then there's just this little tiny bit of overlap, right? And I think it should be pretty clear where I stand on some of this stuff. So it takes time to get good at this and to understand it and to learn all the complexities around it. So, and you're right, it is never enough. It's tough. And I can only tell you that I've been streaming for exactly a year now. I've been live almost every weekend for a year. Maybe I've had a few weeks off here this spring. Almost every weekend for a year, I show up for 2 or 3 hours on Saturday and Sunday and I practice. And this is my main practice time, and it has dramatically leveled up my skills. So don't underestimate the power of just setting aside 2 or 3 or 4 hours a week to do exactly what I'm doing, and you will see improvement in your skills. You just will. So my friends are extremely fast in all technologies of front end and back end, having more than 5 years of experience. They are extremely fast project deliverers, but unfortunately they don't teach and guide. Yeah, I mean, I when up until a year ago, I didn't either. So not everybody is a teacher. Not everybody wants to teach or has wants to be a mentor. So I've run into that a lot too in my career with people who I thought were really skilled and I wished could help me, and that just wasn't their thing. So let's see here. Practice makes progress. Frameworks evolve. Skimming and assessing AI GPT code to tweak it to your liking is the next thing, and also prompting it to make it to tweak it to be simplified with leverage to be AI powered dev. Yeah, I mean, GPT has definitely leveled up my skill set. I've been using ChatGPT for 2 years. I honestly don't use it. I don't use it that much for coding. I use it more for JavaScript than anything else. Second would be accessibility, just getting a lot of guidance on accessibility to make sure I've got my markup right. To me, ChatGPT is a huge strategy tool. So I'm using ChatGPT for things like marketing, strategy, ideas that I have for videos that I want to make. It's great for helping me brainstorm like titles or thumbnail text for YouTube videos. It's great at helping me just understand YouTube in general because the analytics on YouTube like just make my head want to explode. I cannot handle the analytics. That's not my thing. Analytics, I can't even deal with it, but I know it's important, especially as a creator, to like pay attention to your analytics. And ChatGPT is so good at breaking it down and explaining it to me. So I find ChatGPT to be excellent at strategy. I absolutely love it, but it makes mistakes. And if you've spent any time watching my live streams, ChatGPT has made a lot of mistakes, a lot. And yes, consistency is key. You have to practice. You have to make your own notes after you complete a project and learn from that. Before you know it, you will have your own cheat sheets. Yeah, I have like many cheat sheets that I have, many, many. So mostly for DevOps, but I have lots of cheat sheets. So, okay, back to the build. Back to the build. So, okay, so we have a great plan here, I think, for mobile, which is that the things that I want to be duplicated inside this nav element is called mobile buttons. So let's go ahead and here's header, here's navigation. So here's our menu button, and that's still display none. And then let's do this. We'll do mobile buttons. And this is also going to be display none for desktop. Perfect. Now let's start our media query. Now we'll start our media query for mobile. So on mobile, we want to make sure that we're hiding this user meta. Let's give us another class. So we'll say user meta desktop. So this will be display none. But our mobile buttons and our menu button will both be display block. Okay, what was it again? Let's just do short-term memory. I'll just do this. And this will be display block, and this will be display block. All right, so far so good. And then our navigation, is going to be We'll do this here. It's not going to be display none, but it is going to be visibility. It's going to be visibility hidden, opacity 0, display position fixed, top 0, right, right negative 100%. No, you know what? I'm going to do it how I usually do it, which is give it an actual size. So right 300 pixels, which would make this with 300 pixels. It's still display block. It's still display block, so I don't have to change or add a display property. And then translate, transform, translate X, I'm just going to say 0. And then we also want to do height 100 VH, and this is also going to need a background color of white. All right, perfect. Now let's make sure that we are correctly hiding this. So this is the My Account. Hide My Account for mobile, because My Account is already down here. Perfect. Perfect. This worked perfectly. This worked perfectly. And this did not end up being as confusing as I thought it was going to be. So now we just need to make sure. So let's give this its own class of user meta desktop. So it just automatically gets grouped in. Right here. Beautiful. So maybe we want to put so here's our navigation. Here's our button. So we're going to go back and put this inside the wrap. Yep, which is what we originally did. Yep, so we're going to go back to that. I love it. This did not end up being as horrible as I thought it would be. It was a little bit horrible, but not that horrible. Whoops. I'm going to put it right there. There we go. Look at that. So all we had to do for mobile is we had to duplicate 3 things. This right here, and this right here, 3 buttons. Yeah, I think that's okay. And then they're duplicated inside of the nav element. Perfect. So I've gotten into the habit of putting, so what I like to do is I like to use a class and then let the CSS do the work. So let's go ahead and put a class on the body, and that's going to drive our styles. And I'm just going to say menu active, so we can do all of our styling. So do you use Linux? Will you be switching after Windows 10 ends? I do use Linux. I use, so I'm a big fan of Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So that's what I tend to use. I don't use like I don't use, I'm a Mac user, so everything I do is with Mac. I don't have any Windows machine. So I'm not sure if you're asking me about a server setup or like a PC setup. I don't use PC, I use Mac. I use Linux on like my managed servers, my cloud servers, so Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. I've never used Linux as an operating system before. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. I like Linux. I like Apache. I like PHP. Okay. So now let's make sure that these icons are all big enough for mobile. So basically, let's make sure that this is also has a max width of 100%. So now you can see that that logo is resizing. That's good. And then let's make sure that any SVG inside this wrap, so the header wrap, is at least 48 by 48. On mobile. So I'm just gonna say we don't need this. Meta header. Well, actually, no, header. Is that even, wait a second, does this even work? Oh yeah, because there's another wrap in there. Got it. So I'm going to do header. Wrap. SVG. Width 3 rems. Height 3 rems. Whoa, they're big. And that changed the size of this also. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? This is the thing that makes accessibility hard. And we can take the padding off of those buttons. So we can do that up here. All right. And then this is our another SVG. So so we need to do not site name SVG. Where are you? There we go. Yeah, that's the part, this is the part of accessibility that's kind of tricky, isn't it? Well, that's okay. There's plenty of room up here, so we're going to make it work. All right, so the user meta wrap, let's work on this padding. So it's messy, but look at how far we've come. Look at how far we've come. And I knew that this was probably going to take up our weekend working on this navigation. And I won't apologize for being accessible. So user meta wrap has a lot of padding on it. So I think we could change this to like 1 rem. And it is aligned on the center. So let's find that user meta wrap right here. And then let's make sure that this has some gap right in there. So we'll say gap, we'll just say 1 rem. Those should push those off to the side. Oh, perfect. See what a difference that made? Nice. And then let's adjust. There's a lot of space in between these icons. So user meta, yep. Oh, let's see here, user meta, I got that wrong. That is line 187. Flex flow. So user meta has a huge gap, so let's adjust that. We'll say gap 1 rem. Oh, let's make it a little smaller. Yeah, that works. Those icons are huge. So, okay, so we need a different strategy here for these icons. They're way too big. So right now I've got the icon itself as being 48 pixels by 48 pixels. I think we need to make the tap target 48 by 48, but not the icon 48 by 48. So let's, we need a better strategy here because they're just way too big. So we're still going to make sure this button is 48 by 48. That's not going to go away, but we need to make sure that the SVG. So there's a couple ways to do that. So our button has no padding on desktop, and I don't want to change that. Thank you. We're getting there. It's messy. It's messy, but we're getting there. Feel like category filter is fighting the header a little bit. Yeah, we'll get there. I agree with you. I feel very focused right now on the header, but you're right. We're gonna definitely make sure that this is clamped. This text right here is clamped and resizing for mobile. So I totally agree. So let's make sure. So let's say for now that we took the padding out here, but let's say we do padding 1 rem. And then if we change our SVGs, I think we could go with 2 rems for the icon and then 1 rem of padding, which makes it 64 by 64. Let's see here. Yeah, so if we go 0.5 rems on the button and then 2 rems on the SVG, we still have a 48 by 48 tap target, but these are a much better size. A much better size. And I think that we need to give our logo a little bit of structure here as well, so it's not so big and resizing. So let's come up here and then, so these are our desktop. So I'm going to put in a media query here for our base styles. So our button is going to get, whoops, padding of 0.5. We'll do a width of 2 rems and a height of 2 rems. Yeah, let's take that out. Let's take that out. There we go. I think that looks much better. So we still have our tap target, but we just made that SVG a little smaller. And then let's make sure, let's give this a little structure. So this is the site name. I think if the site name had, what is that? So that's 173.59. So let's go ahead and do, I think on desktop it's fine. Do we have this here anywhere? Just this. So we're styling the SVG. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. And I'm just going to change the width to 175 pixels. That's it. There we go. And then if it gets really small, it resizes on its own. I think we still have a lot of room. We might have, I don't know if we need this much gap. Let's cut this gap down as well. Line 279. Oh yeah. And then let's cut down on this padding. Instead of 1 rem, let's do 0.5. All right, so we definitely need a better solution for this area up here. But I'm just not going to worry about it today. We're going to come back to that because I think what we just did here was far more important. This 100% to me is victory, figuring this out. Very happy with this. Very, very happy with this. We have our tap targets. We have a nice responsive logo, which happens to be an SVG. We only had to like duplicate 3 things and sort of tuck them into that nav element for the purposes of mobile. And then using menu active, so it would be a click event that when we click on the hamburger menu, we are adding menu active to the body class. And when we have menu active, then we can go ahead and show this nav drawer, which is hidden off screen. So let's do that now. So here's the navigation being hidden. So we'll say menu active, oops, navigation, and it will be visibility, visible. Opacity, 1. And transform, translate, minus 100%. And we can see that now. And we just need to take off that margin and padding. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and style what's going on inside of here. So the best way to test this, since this is just a body class, is I'm just going to come right in here to the dev tools and delete that. And then Control or Command Z. Undo, redo. That works exactly the way it should. And we can animate opening that. So I'll go ahead and say transition, transform, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. And you can't really transition visibility. It's the only, I can tell you now, this is only going to work in one direction. Visibility. None. Visibility. 300 milliseconds. There we go. So I am very happy with this. I am very happy with this for today. So the last thing that we, so here's what we're going to do tomorrow. Here's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to write the JavaScript and do a click event. We do need to make sure that on desktop, if we click this icon, let me make this a little bigger here, that if we click the search icon, we can see an input. I don't know, I'm going to think about that overnight, how much I want to prioritize that. Although we do have a JSON, so technically we could build search, but I want to really focus on the filtering part of this. I have to think about that. I think at the very least we could include an input that when you click on this, we're showing the input without showing an entire drawer. But I'm going to think about that because I think I gave myself homework last week, which was to make sure that I had these buttons and drop downs set up correctly, and I didn't do that. So I'll do that tonight as well. I'll make sure that I have a better understanding of how that should be structured. So in short, I think we can finish this up tomorrow. We can finish up the markup, the JavaScript, and make sure that this is accessible, but I am super happy with this. And I also need to make a decision up here about this as well. Yeah. I mean, maybe we get rid of these arrows and we just show one, and then if somebody forks this, they can just take it and do whatever they want with it. They can build a slider, they can do the functionality. Maybe we could do, you really shouldn't have a slider though that you don't give people control over. But I think Castle Arts does, right? They just cycle through. Yeah, they just cycle through, and there's no way to pause this And I don't think that that's accessible. I don't think it's accessible to have a slider that people can't pause. But maybe we need to like do some research on that. Maybe we need to do some research on that. But maybe we can't do every single thing either. Maybe we can't do every single thing. There's that too. So I think I just have to think about it overnight. But I'm absolutely happy with what we came up with here. So there's that. Let's go to the comments. Akib, I'm a new subscriber. I was just exploring and found this. This is really good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It is going to have log in and sign up options. So I'm not fully building out something with like authentication or a back end. This is just a front end. This is just a front end project. So I do have a link in the description for this, for a GitHub repository. If somebody wants to take this and fork this, and build it out with their framework of choice, you're welcome to do so. Everything I do is open source and available for people to use in their projects. This is a very kind comment. Angela's channel is meditative and feels like a SMR for vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and calms you into not rushing to learn concepts, and goes into depth for recreating a mock-up of a website design. That is a lovely comment. Thank you. I will say that one of my goals is to kind of be like the Bob Ross of front-end development. I do want to be somewhat soothing, a calming presence, because I do think that this is overwhelming times that we live in, even for myself, not just with the sheer volume of what there is to learn and the immense amount of pressure that front-end developers, especially new developers, are under to learn everything and be good at everything. And I do want people to zoom out a little bit and just take a deep breath and get out of tutorial hell and just spend time practicing. Just spend some time practicing. So, do you use React or our traditional way to code? So I don't use React. I spent many years building apps with Vue because the organization that I worked in, that's what they used. And I've built a couple of Angular apps, and I really like Vue and Angular, but if you were going to make me choose, I'd probably choose Angular because I do genuinely like it. Do you have a GitHub repository to contribute? I also have some ideas. Everything is linked down in the description. So yes, I do have a GitHub repository set up for this particular project and all of my projects. You're also welcome to check the project page on my website. All of the projects that we build on this channel are on that page as well, and they all have GitHub repositories. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it a day here. What do we think? I hope everybody comes back tomorrow so we can write some JavaScript and finish tightening up this header. And then I'm actually going to skip down to the footer because there is no functionality in our footer. Let's look at let's look at our mock-up here. There's no like real big functionality in our footer. It's just a layout. So if we can get our JavaScript written tomorrow and in place, I would like to quickly get down to the footer and just get those styles into place. And then we'll come back and we'll spend our remaining time working on this filter. Oh, one moment. What? Hold please. So yes. So Monique Robinson and Go Elmo Go are the channel mods. Thank you so much, Monique And Go Elmo Go for hanging out and helping us keep the chat fun, friendly, moving along. We had a very active chat this weekend. So I appreciate that. I love the questions. I love the things that people are asking and bringing up. Guitar Jam, I didn't get your email, so if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or resend the email, I'll keep my eyes open for it. Anybody who wants to reach out and chat with me, those are probably the two best ways to do it. I'm trying to be better about making sure that I check my Instagram messages, but I look at email every day. And yeah, we're going to be back tomorrow. So I hope you can join us and hang out with us. And we will see this header be finished, because I was a little stressed out about it. So I'm really, really happy. So, okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.